Justice League issue 7. Scott Snyder, Jim Chung is back on this issue. This is his end of arc returning issue. And this wraps up this first arc with dealing with the totality. Not that the totality is done and gone forever, but this
No.
immediate crisis and Lex trying to really, manipulate it and whatnot. A bulk of the issue, I skimmed this one again because it was so dense in terms of because Snyder puts in so
Yeah.
much information that I have to read it twice just to take it all in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think I know what happened in this issue
I think
because I read it.
I think I have
like-
it kind of sussed. Yes, I'm
Yeah.
kind of there.
I love how it opens with Vandal Savage riding a wolf.
Yeah. So here's the thing. I got super hyped because I love to put things in compartments, and ever since they introduced the bear, the wolf, and the hawk tribe, right, in Metal, I
I've been
want to
trying
know
to
who
place
makes.
everyone.
Yeah, and it makes perfect sense that Vandal Savage was the Wolf King, and he was a hero before, right, to all the Neolithic people. I like the retelling of Vandal Savage's origin here because, for those that aren't familiar with his traditional origin, he was a caveman who came across a meteorite that advanced his intellect. So he ended up becoming this, he's been around since caveman days, and anytime there's been a crucial part of history, he's been a part of it. So in certain tellings, he was Genghis Khan. And other times, he was responsible for the French Revolution and the bloodshed there. So I like what they did here is that he started off as a force for good, like with Snyder's fashion. He headed the Wolf
Yeah.
tribe.
And he got
And-
he
and
got
then
the
this-
he got the glimpse that that
Yeah.
Lex essentially did that kind of changed him and changed his outlook, and now he's like, oh no,
Which I
injustice
like that
and evil and blah blah blah.
Yeah. And that comes from the meteorite. So the meteorite was maybe a piece of the totality, something
Yeah.
maybe from the dark, which I like that he's adding in that. I like these type of retcons. And then that changed him.
Which what I like,
Because what did it say his name meant? Because
Judge.
Judge. There you go.
Judge, yeah.
I think what I like just in a small thematic thing is that first page when you see the meteorite going across the sky, and obviously if you're familiar with Vandal Savage's origin, you kind of just know what that is anyway. But I like that just having read this arc and getting to this issue is that it immediately made me think of issue 1 with the totality itself coming towards Earth.
Yep.
Visually,
Yeah.
it just linked the two of them together, and I was like, okay, that's really smart.
And,
So
and like an impending doom, it was always meant to happen, right? Like this was just the first
Yeah.
piece of the totality.
And it talked in that first issue, it opened with echoing through time.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I'm seeing it. It's
So,
cool.
so things connect up quite nicely in that way. The bulk of the issue is essentially the rest of the Justice League holding off various things. Well, Flash is basically the one who has to try and save everything and close off Umbrax's pathway.
You
So-
gotta go slow.
So you got Judge Stewart in the speed car who ends up fighting Sinestro. You got Aquaman fighting Manta outside because they're trying to bring down the base that Flash is in. Wonder Woman's fighting off things inside the base. Superman, not a lot of Superman, but I did laugh a lot at the moment where it's like, Superman, something's happening on that planet, but you can't go there, it'll probably kill you. And then you just hear the foom. It's like, what was that foom noise? Clark?
Yeah.
Superman? What's happening?
Yeah.
That was a good moment, but not as good as we'll get to the one in the end.
Oh, yeah. Again, talking
Oh,
about
yeah.
coming full circle with the first issue,
Yeah.
with all the Batman impressions, gold, absolute gold.
Yep.
I love that the font changed, the lettering changed to this
Yep.
what's the term to describe a font like this?
It looks it's
Kinda
like
gothic.
Gothic, yeah.
Yeah.
But he's like, because he says the thing, he's like, oh, criminals are just a superstition and cowardly lot. And then I love the reactions. It's the thought bubbles because they're all telepathically linked. And it's Flash going, what? And then someone else is like, oh, shut it down. He's like, see, I told you Clark's was the best. And I don't sound like that.
Yeah.
I don't sound like that. And I think what's great about it is that because that's funny enough. That would be enough to close off the joke. That would be enough to say that was a worthwhile payoff to that setup in the first issue. But I think actually taking it one step further and having Batman kind of do his own impression in a moment where he's saying, no, it doesn't matter what evil's coming, we're going to win, with the ridiculous phrase of, well, we'll justice harder. That's a ridiculous sentence, but he knows it's a ridiculous sentence. That's kind of the point. And,
Yeah.
and Flash pointing that out and saying, oh, that's a Batman voice, made it work.
I would have appreciated the font change for that as well.
Oh, yeah, that'd
Yeah.
be funny.
Well, because you get it with Batman's laugh right after Superman says it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
So
I think the We Justice had it was bolded, but it was still the same regular font.
Yeah, I think
I would have liked a beat of a panel as they just kind of look at Batman and go, "Yeah, okay," because that's a ridiculous statement. We Justice harder.
well, I think they get that though. I think Flash acknowledging it is kind of like it's that way of okay, Batman's that way, but he's like is genuine, right? And I like that Batman's a little self-aware here. That he's intentionally saying a ridiculously over-the-top Batman line. But he means it as well. He means it because John's given this giant speech about, oh, what if though we find out that the world is evil and life and in essence is evil and injustice is the way forward
We're
and doom.
on the wrong side of history.
And he's like, well, justice harder, and I'm like, I love that line so much because for all my complaints that I'd have with this book, maybe about it being a bit too packed and a bit convoluted with some of its logic, it hits these moments really well. So.
Yeah, just going back to Jean giving his speech in the Hall of Justice, some interesting characters around him.
Big time.
Yeah, because obviously there's some from the other leagues, but Swamp Thing's there, and Man Bat from Justice League Dark and so on. But there's a couple of others.
But you have Animal Man, you have Vixen, and you have Adam Strange.
Yeah, I thought Adam Strange. I was like, is he on Odyssey? I don't remember.
No, he's not. At least not to begin with. Yeah.
And either it's Vixen or Animal Man.
No, Animal Man was the one that really sad me. I feel like I saw Vixen was going to be somewhere on one of the books. I vaguely have a memory of that. But
that was. I mean, they were all on the Justice League United team together.
Yes. Yeah, along with Green Arrow as well, who's up there.
Yeah. But we also know that Green Arrow is the keeper of the key, basically.
Yeah. The kill switch.
I liked him being included.
No, I mean obviously Flash. Like I love the idea that Flash is the one to do it. I like that this book might rotate and giving them all their shining moments where they're the ones that get to be the linchpin of the whole thing, and Flash is the one who has to slow down and connect to the still force, and everyone's like rallying around trying to hold everything off so that it can just do it in time, including Kendra just outright stabbing Luthor. Which, fun.
Yeah.
She's going for blood.
Her wings are even more magic now.
Yes, they are. I don't know what the connection is, but it's doing something. But she actually goes inside the totality and takes the core of it. The mechanism, and they've got that now in the Hall of Justice. So they're going to explore that. So we end the book with John. There's a few things that happen. Obviously, there's a lot of nice wrap up where there's a really emotional touch with Jean and John. That's weird to say that sentence out loud. But they embrace and forgive each other for Zhangxi, and it's like. So you have that emotional moment, and that worked really well. And then you have the setup for the other stuff. So there's a little teasing for the next arc with Wonder Woman and Aquaman, where they say, "Oh, Black Manta and Cheetah were up to something in there, and I think we might be, at the center of whatever's coming next." And it's like, "Yeah, you are." So they set up that Jean's leaving to go and see what's his face, Thanagar Prime. He's going there to see the Martian Keeper.
He's going back to find the seer.
Yeah.
Of,
the one with all the memories and shit.
Yeah, and he's taking Kendra and John. So I assume that'll either be a subplot or an arc down the line. So they'll be separated for a little bit. And then, of course, we get the big bombastic things where just as Wonder Woman and Aquaman are topping, Starman jumps in, boom tube style.
Yeah.
And he's like, do you know what? I want to give this credit because I feel like I've heard the phrase, I am from the future and I have the answers or something's going to happen. I feel this is the first time I've heard I am from the past and I have all the answers. Yeah.
And it's the Will Payton version, right? So that was Snyder had hinted this a couple weeks ago, right?
Yeah, we talked about it.
Right, and we didn't know which one, but we could kind of guess because he showed up in the End of Metal, as an image.
Yeah.
But I didn't expect to see the Cosmic Rod.
No.
Or the staff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's super cool. So what's going on with that?
Yeah, and why do 3 of the Justice League members have to die? As he points out.
Yeah.
What does that mean exactly?
I hope it's not the 3 that were just randomly there. That were like, hey, why are they there?
Well, we know Swampy's on his way out already.
Yeah.
The red shirts.
So he'll volunteer himself, I'm sure.
That's true, yeah.
But yeah.
And then the final capper is we go back to Lex, who's obviously very pissed that everything's kind of fell through. Joker calls them all back in. That's what leads to the Superman Batman joke. But he's like, okay, I need help, and we find out who he's got in captivity. The Batman who laughs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm okay with this
I'm down for
development.
this.
Makes sense. It's
He's
when
he's evil
when a
incarnate.
plan comes together.
He's evil incarnate. I can totally see this working, and obviously it's Snyder's
also
baby.
One of the best drawn pages in the issue.
Yeah, I really missed Jimenez. Not that Chung's bad. Chung's fine, but I prefer Jimenez for these big.
I think I prefer Chung personally.
I prefer Jimenez. I think Chung's solid though. I think occasionally a face hero there will be a little bit flat for me, but he's pretty solid.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's terrible. I like Chung. I like Jimenez.
I think Jimenez has a little bit tighter layout work.
Yeah.
And structurally he's a little bit better, but I think technically I prefer Chung.
Yeah.
But, not much in it. They're both pretty good.
Yeah. It's bombastic. I mean, this ends the first arc. I mean, how do we feel about the book now that the first arc is done? And this is kind of the first chapter of. Yeah.
I hope he kind of ramps down some of the bigger ideas, because I feel like he was throwing them all up against the wall through this first arc. And while it's cool, I like what he's doing. I hope he takes his time now, and instead of us getting 3, we can get like 1 or 2. So like the next arc is Manta and Cheetah and what they're up to. So I think that's good. As long as he doesn't throw a third one in there, I think we'll have time. Because this is a little bit of
it makes sense to me that you start off bigger and then you slow down after the first. It's kind of like a TV pilot. You start off with the big setup and then you slow down and sort of breathe with the characters a little bit afterwards. Obviously, that's what we're hoping for. We'll see if it does.
I appreciated that even at this scope, it never sacrificed even small character moments. Like in this one, Barry saying, he wished he could, have Clark's skills with words, to communicate what he saw. And just that was a small little. It was like one line of dialogue, but okay, that's a nice little character moment that I feel had been missing from the Justice League book for a long time.
Joe, I think is good as well. I think even just throughout this first arc, it's done a good job of balancing, like how much like time and importance each member has had. Like obviously, there's been issues where one's been kind of ignored. Arguably, Aquaman and Wonder Woman have had the least amount, but they're about to get an arc focused on them. Whereas, Flash was probably a bigger focus in this issue, where he'd been a little bit quieter. Where Superman was quieter in this one, but Superman and Martian Manhunter into totality was a whole big thing for 2 issues. So they've all kind of, it's shifted around in who it's focusing on.
John had a big thing. Batman's probably been the least used.
Yeah, that's fair.
Which I'm okay with. It makes a nice change of pace from him being the one always overused.
So I just had a thought of the traditional Justice League lineup, like when they fought Starro, right? Batman and Superman weren't there, but you had Flash, you had Manhunter, you had a Green Lantern, you had Aquaman and Wonder Woman, and I understand that's what makes it the Big 7, but they were also fighting an alien threat, and here they're fighting an alien threat. So I wonder if that's on purpose out of Snyder. Like it's kind of not that he's playing with continuity, but it's almost an homage to that, right? So it really focused on Flash and Green Lantern, and they were kind of the first of the Silver Age heroes. So
my gut tells me this is just more of a coincidence than it is an intentional thing. But it's an interesting observation.
Yeah, I think it's the lineup is just because it's the Justice League cartoon, right?
But yeah, that other team also had Canary, right, instead of Hawkwoman. So but I'm just saying, I was just looking. It's like one of those English major things where you start looking at all the significance in each and everything. But no, I mean, to me, there has to be a reason why it was Flash and Green Lantern as the first 2 of these, But
in terms of the forces that are new, because we had the negative light and we had the ultraviolet light more specifically, and we had the still force, okay. So I think we'll slowly introduce the other 5. And we'll see kind of what they are. So obviously we're getting the next 2 with the next batch. So we'll see how that goes. But no, it was a really enjoyable issue. It's a bit densely packed at times, this book, but it delivers on the big moments. And I typically leave it feeling like, yeah, I'm excited for where the DC universe is and where it's going and what we're messing with. So,
Yeah.
Matt,
as a flagship, it works.
yes, absolutely. That's a good way
Yeah.
of putting it. Matt, what are you giving it? What are you giving issue 7?
This was an 8.5. Even though it was a little bit incomprehensible to me, there's so much. It really was. It's hard to fault a book that starts with Vandal Savage riding a wolf. Like,
Do you know what's funny? That so much happens in the book that when I went back to skim it, like just before we recorded, I'd forgotten that started that way. I'd forgotten about the Vandal Savage pages at the start.
yeah.
It's good bang for your buck.
Yes, yes. Matt, Connor, what are you giving it?
I agree with an 8.5. I really appreciate things like the Snyder narration coming back in, kind of really caps off the arc.
Yeah.
Felt like we've come full circle.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll go with 8.5. I was tempted to go with a 9, but I'll be reserved. Go with 8.5. But yeah, it's very good because it's dealing with a lot of big things. Characters get moments, and Superman doing his Batman impression did really make me laugh. So, yeah. It was a nice round out way to cap it off, and then had the big cliffhangers for what's coming next.